Hello, my friend, and welcome to Wisdom Trek. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 5-day-per-week Wisdom and Legacy Building podcast. This is day 456 of our trek, and today is Wisdom Wednesday. Every Wednesday along life's trail, we will dig for the nuggets of wisdom that are found in the book of Proverbs. Today, we'll explore the first half of chapter 21. We are broadcasting from our studios at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. On Monday, we made a long day trip to Charlotte and back to pick up our final possessions that we were unable to fit in the truck previously. My brother Jack went with Paula and I, and we rented a smaller truck, which barely fit the remaining items that we had stored in our garage down there. Since the house is under contract now, all we have to do is wait for the inspections and the appraisals to be completed. If there are no delays, we should close on or before November 21st, which will complete another chapter in our lives with many good memories for the past 7 years. Although we do have some mixed emotions about consolidating back to Marietta, I am reminded of the quote from Dr. Seuss who said, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." As we do adapt to the ever-changing seasons of life, it is certainly beneficial to rely on wisdom, insight, and understanding obtained through the many years to help us to navigate the trails that we're hiking each day. Every season of life, we need to seek wisdom, insight, and understanding, both from God's Word and from other wise individuals. We then need to put good plans in place. So let's break camp for today and let's explore the nuggets of wisdom that are found in the first half of Proverbs chapter 1, where we will learn that good planning and hard work lead to prosperity. Let's start the trek with verse number 1. The king's heart is like the streams of water directed by the Lord. He guides them wherever he pleases. This verse certainly brings some comfort in the midst of the election cycle within the United States. I am sure it is probably the same if you live in other countries. Although I do count it a privilege to live in a free country, and it is important to exercise that privilege by voting, regardless of the outcome of the particular election, God is sovereign and controls who is elected. He directs the hearts of the world leaders the same as he directs the rivers, and he guides them to fulfill his will. While the world leaders attempt to build empires, God is interested in building his kingdom. Verse number 2. People may be right in their own eyes, but the Lord examines their heart. As humans, we have the ability to justify and rationalize any type of behavior as acceptable and right behavior. We truly have a difficult time examining our own hearts, but God does not. He knows not only our actions, but more importantly, our motives for the actions that we do take. Verse number 3. The Lord is more pleased when we do what is right and just than when we offer him sacrifices. This verse can be somewhat related to the previous verse. Our actions are not as important as our heart attitude and intentions. God desires for us to do what is right and just. He does not desire that we just go through the motions of doing what is right if we have an incorrect attitude in doing so. Verse number 4. Haughty eyes, a proud heart, and evil actions are all sin. Pride is the seed of nearly all the sins because out of pride grows the abundance of wrong actions. When we are more concerned about ourselves than we are about others, then we think we are more important than we really are. Pride in this verse can be seen in our eyes, our heart or mind, and in our actions. On the other hand, if we humble ourselves before God, he will lift us up. Verse number 5. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. Not all planning is created equal. We must learn good planning and then work that plan hard. When we do these two items, the natural outcome will be prosperity. Contrary to this is attempting to short-circuit the law of planting and harvesting. If you rush through your work and don't dedicate the needed time to plan properly, then you will find yourself in perpetual poverty. Verse number 6. Wealth created by a lying tongue is a vanishing mist and a deadly trap. There is never a justification for lying to gain wealth. Some may be successful in doing so, but their wealth is never lasting. It also becomes a snare that will trap the person who practices lying. To continue to gain wealth, they will need to continue their deceitful practices. Wealth actually has no lasting value unless it is used to positively impact the lives of others. Verse number 7. The violence of the wicked sweeps them away because they refuse to do what is just. Individuals that are bent on being mean or violent will be consumed by their own habit. Their lives will become so obsessed with themselves that they have lost their way of life and refuse to change and do what is right and just and fair. Verse number 8. The guilty walk a crooked path, the innocent travel a straight road. There is a distinct difference in the trails that the guilty and the innocent travel. the guilty trail will be crooked, full of seemingly unsurmountable obstructions and detours. The innocent will travel a trail that will take them straight to their destination. Even when they do run into obstacles, they will overcome them and continue on to that destination. Verse number 9, it is better to live alone in a corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Being in a marital relationship with a spouse who argues or likes to quarrel is a miserable experience. It would be easier to live in a tiny home in a marriage with peace and harmony than to live in a large and beautiful home where there is constant arguments. Verse number 10, evil people desire evil. Their neighbors get no mercy from them. A person who makes a habit of practicing evil, their desire is to consume evil and to spread evil to all that they come in contact with. Those who are closest to them physically and emotionally will be impacted most. Verse number 11, if you punish a mocker, the simple-minded become wise. If you instruct the wise, they will be all the wiser. A mocker is someone who mocks God's love and His justice. They will not change their ways even through the most difficult times. The simple-minded will change their ways from foolishness and begin to become wise because of their fear of punishment. The wise, on the other hand, seek to become wiser, so they welcome instructions with open arms and minds. Verse number 12, the righteous one knows what is going on in the homes of the wicked. He will bring disaster on them. God cannot be fooled or mocked. He knows all. He understands our hearts. Those who practice wickedness may think that they control their own destinies, but it is God who judges their thoughts and intents of their hearts. Verse number 13, those who shut their ears to the cries of the poor will be ignored in their own time of need. God cares for those who are poor and less fortunate. We are here to help those who are truly in need. When they cry out, we should not ignore them. If we do, others will ignore our cries if we are ever in the same situation. Verse number 14, a secret gift calms anger. A bribe under the table pacifies furies. While God is not condoning bribes or pay-to-play scenarios, in many cultures it is a common practice. Solomon is pointing out that the gifts and bribes do have an impact, especially if you have done something to offend another person. The key here is to live a life of integrity at all times, so that you are never in a situation where it requires payoffs or bribes. Verse number 15, justice is a joy to the godly, but it terrifies the evildoers. When you are doing what is right, then you can rejoice when justice is administered. When you do not, you will live in fear and anxiousness at all times. Always do what is good and right. And then verse number 16. The person who strays from common sense will end up in the company of the dead. One reason that I emphasize wisdom is that there is such a lack of common sense with so many people today. It impacts all areas of our lives. A person without wisdom or common sense makes decisions that are wrong in their relationships, their finances, in health, spiritually, and intellectually. When this happens, a person's life will be constantly filled with drama. They will always be heading down the path that leads to destruction. The nuggets of wisdom that we've gathered in verses 1 through 16 of Proverbs chapter 21 provide more tasty morsels of wisdom, insight, and understanding. Regardless of your faith walk, if the precepts in Proverbs are followed, your life will be rich and satisfying. Take them and plant them in your heart so that you'll reap a harvest of goodness. Tomorrow we will hike another short trail of Wisdom Unplugged, where we will discover an inspirational wisdom quote. So encourage your family and friends to join us and then come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. That will finish our trek for today. Just as you enjoy these daily doses of wisdom, we ask you to help us to grow Wisdom Trek by sharing it with your family and friends through email, Facebook, Twitter, or in person when you meet with them, and invite them to come along with us each day. I would challenge you to take just one precept that we learned today in Proverbs and commit yourself to applying it to your life. The journal for today's trek is available at wisdom-trek.com. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and then leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.